All right, right now we go to the DC Creasman Jewelers Wise Lines. Ian Castleberry joining us, presented by Mike Lawrence and the staff at Happy Hill Restaurant. Excellent as always. Ian, you doing all right on this gorgeous Monday?
Yeah, doing very well. Have a good weekend. How about you guys?
Hey, no complaints, man. Big time. Hope everyone had a great Mom's Day weekend as well. All right, let's start first with Wade Miley of the Reds tossing a no-hitter versus Cleveland. Oh, that's nice against the old in-state rival. Ian, it's the fourth no-hitter this season. All right, are those no-nos an anomaly or a pattern you're starting to see?
I think this is indicative of a pattern. Of course, it could be an anomaly, but I mean, this is just the result of, strikeouts are up in baseball, batting average is down. So many hitters are concentrating on lifting the ball, launch angle, instead of, hitting the ball in the screws, putting it in play. You see this if you watch baseball. It's either walk, home run, or strikeout, unfortunately. The ball not getting put in play. I think what's really concerning, if you're looking at these no-hitters, is that guys like Alex Means and now Wade Miley, these aren't fireballers. They're not junk ballers either necessarily, but they kind of pitch to contact. They don't blow away guys with 95-mile-an-hour heat, yet they are shutting down some major league lineups. Now, maybe you also have to look at the Cleveland Indians. They were no-hit twice in 3 weeks, so maybe this is all the Indians' fault.
That hurts.
But yeah, so the modern record for most no-hitters in a season is 7. And I believe the last time that happened was in 2012. Right now, we're on pace for 16 no-hitters in 2021. It's still an amazing achievement for a pitcher, but it does seem to be losing its novelty, its specialty, if you will.
Yeah, when we got time, I want to spend a whole segment just what can baseball do to market itself better, especially today's new crop of great players. All right, so that's something to follow there. I mean, apparently, chicks dig the long ball, but the pitchers right now in the major league level are saying, yeah, not so fast on that. Ian, the National League East projected to be one of the top divisions this season, but is collectively off to a rough start. Why do you think that is?
I think for the most part, it's because teams in the NL East just aren't scoring that much. The Atlanta Braves, they lead the division in scoring, but you have the Mets, the Phillies, the Mets, Marlins, and Nationals are among the 3 lowest scoring teams in the National League. And then you also have teams that are giving up a lot of runs, such as the Atlanta Braves, which is a big problem for them. The Phillies have given up 153 runs. They have a -8 run differential, so they're getting outscored overall this season. So I think that just nobody is playing really well. None of the stars in the division, maybe except Jacob deGrom, are really. Ronald Acuna Jr. for the Braves is having a great season, of course, but no big star players, or at least a collection of stars on a particular team, is playing well enough to break out and separate from the pack.
Boy, yeah, you got to think though, Charlie. The Braves are going to make this happen. We hope for sure, but it's been slow going for them as well.
But that's what you think, that they're going to break out of this pack.
Boy, you hope so. As Ian Castleberry joins the Wise Guys, who cares about the rest of the teams? We're just following the Braves. Ian Castleberry presented by Mike Lawrence and the gang at Happy Hill Restaurant. Speaking of the Bravos, it looks like they've added a familiar face to the bullpen.
Yeah, the Braves brought back reliever Shane Green, who had a good season last year, a 2.60 ERA, 21 strikeouts in nearly 28 innings. They're signing him to a 1-year, it's a $1.5 million contract, but it's prorated, so I think it'll be just over $1 million. I'm not sure exactly when Green is going to be able to join the Braves. He's going to have to go to AAA, kind of like another spring training, just to build his arm strength back up and prepare for the season, especially for a reliever role where, he could pitch on back-to-back nights, 4 times a week maybe. But the bullpen has been a big problem for the Braves. It's one of the reasons they are struggling, and they are in this logjam in the NL East. The Braves have a 4.56 ERA. That's 22nd in Major League Baseball. There are 30 Major League Baseball teams, so 22 out of 30. They are 11th out of the 15 teams in the National League. So the Braves really need to improve that bullpen, even though they've had some guys pitch well. Will Smith, their closer, A.J. Minter has pitched well. Tyler Matzik, I think, has been a surprise, but they really need depth more than just 2-3 guys pitching well. Brian Snitker needs, I think, more than 5 guys, maybe build it up to 6 or 7 where he can mix and match according to matchups and bring in a variety of guys each night and not have so many relievers get worn down.
Yeah, you know, I knew the Braves bullpen was an issue. Stan Pamphilus.
I've heard Stan say that for years.
Do you want to know how the Braves bullpen is doing? Hop on Facebook. Eventually, Stan's going to comment on it. We prefer during the game. That's usually when Stan comments on it. As Ian Castleberry joins the Wise Guys, presented, of course, by Happy Hill Restaurant. We're talking Major League Baseball headlines. And Ian, last week, Tony La Russa admitted that he was unaware of a rule that may have cost his team a win, and this is an extra innings rule. Talk about the rule itself, Ian, and what does this raise concern about La Russa, who's not managed in a decade before coming on with the White Sox?
It might, but let's talk about the rule first. It's in extra innings, as listeners may know. This was instituted last year with the shortened season, but extra innings begin with a runner on second base for the team at bat. But the hang up and where La Russa got tripped up here is if a pitcher was the last batter who made the final out in the previous inning, the team can replace the pitcher with the batter that was in the batting order before him. So in this case, Liam Hendricks was supposed to be the runner on second base, but Jose Abreu was the batter before him in the lineup. So the White Sox could have put Jose Abreu on second base, but instead they put Liam Hendricks out there because Tony La Russa wasn't familiar with the rule. And it definitely it may have cost the White Sox the game. It certainly affected their ability to score a run because they were very conservative with Liam Hendricks. You know, they didn't want him to run around third, to go 2 bases on a run and possibly get injured, whereas a position player would be used to that. A pitcher's not usually running the bases, and there was concern about his safety and possibly getting injured. There was a double steal attempt that, had Jose Abreu been on third instead of Liam Hendricks, the White Sox probably would have scored. Now, Tony La Russa is taking a lot of flack for this, and it is embarrassing. It does look, Tony La Russa has been out of the game. The White Sox were criticized for hiring him. But where is Tony La Russa's coaching staff? Where are the other players at dugout to say, hey, wait a minute, tap him on the shoulder, Skip. You don't have to put Hendricks on second base. I mean, isn't that what all of those guys are for? Like, you don't necessarily know every rule, right? That's why you have coaches and analysts and so forth who can help you in situations like this.
Boy, but still, though, here we go, Charlie. I mean, the questions are rising and all of that. But Ian brings up a good point there.
I think a great point. It reinforces the stereotype of people that already criticize him for hiring La Russa. But I like your point, Ian. He's not the only cat in that dugout. Somebody else just said, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, dude, hold on. Tony, before you make a switch, hold on. Let me pull out the rule book. Yeah, that was a definite dropping of the ball there for sure. All right, Ian, great to have you with us. Ian Castleberry talking Major League Baseball headlines via the D.C. Creasman Jewelers Wise Lines. And thanks to Mike Lawrence and the staff at Happy Hill for bringing us in today. All right, Albert Pujols released by the Angels. And, we had that story, Ian, and a couple of his contemporaries, or former contemporaries, I should say, not happy about how the team treated him. What are Pedro Martinez and David Ortiz saying about this scenario, Ian?
Yeah, should we point out that Pedro Martinez and David Ortiz, obviously great players. Anything they say is going to attract attention. But also, Pedro Martinez, a prominent broadcaster on TBS, David Ortiz working for Fox during the postseason. So they have prominent voices on television throughout the media. But Pedro Martinez said the Angels, the way they treated Albert Pujols was, quote, shameful. And I think a lot of people would agree with that and how the Angels handled the situation. David Ortiz said he didn't agree with the move and said Pujols should have been allowed to walk away from the game like a player of his stature deserves. And I think most people would agree with that. Just it was handled badly by the Angels. But I do wonder if Martinez and Ortiz were on a team right now with Albert Pujols, and the Angels are last in the AL West, but if they were competing for a playoff spot and trying to win games, how would they feel about an aging player in his 40s who's batting only 198, an OPS of 622, He's not driving. He has 5 home runs, but no doubles, no triples. He only has 3 walks on the season. And the Angels, they want to keep Jared Walsh in the lineup. His best position is first base, which is where Pujols insisted on continuing to play. Jared Walsh, people haven't heard of him. He's batting .325. He has 6 home runs, 27 RBI. Of course, Shohei Ohtani, one of the most dynamic hitters in baseball right now, batting .276, 10 home runs, 9 doubles. So those guys kind of inched Albert Pujols out of the lineup. And Joe Maddon, I think, was in a bad spot here. I think he was ceding to Pujols' status, maybe in the clubhouse as well. But it was the front office who was saying, look, Pujols has to get out of the lineup. He's not good enough to be an everyday player anymore. We want Walsh in there. We want Ohtani in there. And the front office ended up winning this one.
And I guess my issue with how it was handled was that they could have said, all right, hey, let's step back for a moment. All right, this is Albert Pujols we're talking about. To tell him that, the night before you're going to be in the starting lineup, and then the next day, he's not in the starting lineup, he gets upset about that. He has a right to be upset about that, especially since the pitcher he was facing that day, he's had some success against. If the Angels were looking, if this was going to be the point, and this is where I got to tell you, I know Maddon was in a tough spot, but I'm disappointed in Joe Maddon, guys, because he's always that manager that speaks his mind. I'm really surprised that Joe Maddon didn't say, hey, wait a minute. No, I'm not doing that. We're going to handle this better than that and go that route. I mean, it's okay if they have to release Albert Pujols. Understood. That's just the way of the world. How things went down and then what happened after that, it gives the impression that Albert Pujols was upset about it and then the Angels released him. It didn't really go down that way. But again, the Angels, it's just like not thinking this thing through on this at all. And you handle an all-time great, which Albert Pujols is, you handle him with kid gloves, the respect that he deserves. And hopefully this is a reminder for teams moving forward with all-time great players. How do we handle those players when maybe they're coming to the end of the line and it's not working out for them? Look how Babe Ruth left the game. I mean, he left the game in a whimper in 1935, I think, with the Boston Braves. It was a really sad ending. It shouldn't have to be like that. And for a guy like Albert Pujols, who granted did not live up to the expectations when he signed that 10-year deal with Anaheim, look, still at the same time, though, that guy deserves that kind of respect. What is he, one of only 3 Major League Baseball players to hit over 680 home runs and have over 2,100 RBI?
Yeah. He's like we were talking about on Thursday, people might not realize, or younger fans might not realize just how great Albert Pujols was. I mean, until he signed with the Angels in 2012, this was one of the all-time great hitters over his career in Major League Baseball. Certainly in the discussion for best right-handed hitter all time. 3 MVPs, Rookie of the Year. He could play multiple positions, and people might not realize that now because he's a traffic cone at first base. He could play third base. He could play left field. He was extremely athletic, and he was a productive player with the Angels, but he was nowhere near a Hall of Fame player. He was essentially just a guy, unfortunately, and his skills have continued to deteriorate. But, as you said, Pat, there were ways for the Angels to, wait for an off day or something like that. Don't just put out something before the game or let Albert Pujols find out when he gets to the ballpark that he's not in the lineup. It is an embarrassing situation that didn't need to be that way. No,
and again, Joe Maddon should have stood up to management and just said, no, we're not doing it this way. Let me handle this. This is why you hired me, in part, was how I handle my players. That was, and I'm sure Joe Maddon may be kicking himself right now. Quite frankly, over that. I wouldn't blame him. Ian Castleberry, of course, writes for awfulannouncing.com. How about thecomeback.com? And, of course, does radio hits as well, talking Major League Baseball, including on our show, Mondays and, of course, Thursdays, our NFL Gold Nuggets feature. Ian, we appreciate you keeping busy with us, buddy. And, as always, thank you so much for the knowledge.
Oh, you guys know you're my favorite. Come on. Thanks so much for having me on.
Hey, it's our pleasure, man. Appreciate you, as always.
Okay. See you, Charlie.
See you, Ian.
All right. Thanks so much, Ian Castleberry. Yeah, Charlie, what do you think?
I wonder. I wanted to ask. I thought we had time problems. I wanted to ask him.
Oh, shoot. You should have. Will you call him back?
Yeah, I don't think it's that important.
Oh, raise your hand. I'm sorry, Ray. Let me know. I apologize.
Wonder if Pujols is just not going to play or try to be a DH, and because he's really close to 700 home runs.
Yeah, Ian was bringing that up on a Thursday show when this went down. He was talking football at the time, but we needed to get his opinion on that. And he said, the thing about the COVID season that really racked him was he didn't have a chance to, get closer to that 700 marker. And that may be something that he's got to believe. Does he have it in him? Judging by how upset he was when he was taken out of the lineup, maybe he does have it in him, or at least in his mind, which is a good place to start.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. My guess is he's going to call it a career, but we'll wait and see.
Baseball people are so numbers driven.
Yeah.
And 700 home runs is pretty special now.
I say the Cardinals, go back home, go to St. Louis, go to the Cardinals, retire a Cardinal, really.
And that's probably what he'll do. The thing that would be the ideal thing is just find a DH spot somewhere and take some swings.
See where it goes.
Yeah.
See what happens. All right. In the meantime, he's probably leaving. He's leaving Anaheim with giving the Angels the middle finger, and I don't blame Albert Pujols for doing that for sure. Well, I'm sorry about that, Coach. Yeah.
That's my fault for not speaking up.
No,
but,
just let me know. Just raise that hand. I apologize because I'm sure Ian would have been happy to answer that for you.
I didn't want to be the guy that runs his past time. Like I do sometimes.
Well, like I do all the time. Hello.